Hello and welcome to ETBFSI.com. The world of fintech is evolving constantly, and we at FinTech Diary try to map these changes for you. My name is Amol Deti, and my guest for this chapter is Jaspal Bindra from Centrum Financial Services Group. Mr. Bindra, glad to have you.
Thank you. My pleasure.
To begin with, sir, if I look at the background, Unity SFB, Unity Small Finance Bank, is a very unique proportion. This is a rare situation or an unusual situation where a cooperative bank collapsed and it was, acquired by a financial services group along with a fintech company. Centrum has a 51% stake and Bharat Pay has a 49% in Unity Small Finance Bank. I would like you to tell us what is the current state of Unity Small Finance Bank, how is it shaping up after the acquisition, and how are you actually erasing the developments which happened with the PMC bank and creating a new bank called Unity SFB.
Sure. So Unity is an evolution. Unity Small Finance Bank is an evolution of various circumstances.
Yes.
And clearly we hope it's a win-win outcome at the end of it. But there was a bank that was plagued with some challenges because of an internal fraud. There was Centrum, which was very keen to acquire a banking license. And there was an RBI who was very determined to make sure that the depositors of PMC Bank don't go empty-handed. So I think, the whole unison came in through that. And that's how we got into the banking business. Of course, the choice of partner was a deliberate one to go in for a digital partner because we were very clear from the start that the bulk of our activity will be digital based, will be on a platform which is tech driven. So, the choice became much easier than it was which of the digital partners do we partner with. And Bharat Pay was a client of the Centrum Group for a long time, so it became an obvious pick, and obviously they were open and keen as well. So we've had a great relationship with the Bharat Pay management, but also with the promoters behind Bharat Pay, which is Sequoia, Tiger Global, Insight Partners, Ribbit Capital, etc. And we continue to work very well with them. In terms of where we are today is we have had our first full year of performance. We were fortunate. We declared an operating profit in the first year. We are now on to the start of the second year. And we hope in this phase, we will introduce new offerings in the personal loan side and credit card platform. So those will be the new from an activity point of view. But basically, the aim is to keep spending on technology and talent and emerge as a player who is more tech-driven, be it artificial intelligence, blockchain, automation, digitization, etc.
Yeah. While you are having an outlook about the growth and you're heading in that direction, which is obviously the ideal way, can we say that, whatever had happened, whether the frauds, whether the fire, everything gets settled down now? Has the depositors or the new customers are coming to bank? Has the depositors whom you lost, has been those depositors who were really crying for their deposits and investments? All those issues have been solved. And are you now heading towards acquiring new customers?
Oh, very much so. So PMC as an entity has liquidated, so doesn't exist. What we acquired were the assets and liabilities of that bank. And I think we have largely provided for all the assets. And the depositors, there is a scheme, as you are aware, where we have to pay as per a schedule. But now we are very much in terms of new business, new clients, that on a delta is bigger than the stock we had before.
Absolutely. But considering what happened with that, do you see any challenges when the customers will perhaps be a little reluctant to come to a new bank? Or how has been your experience? Or what I'm saying is completely wrong when you're seeing new CASA or new customers are coming because it's a digital bank, it's a different proportion. How are the customers looking at this new brand?
So I'm happy to say that even from the old clientele that PMC had, about 40% or so we have retained.
Right.
So it's not like everybody in PMC ran away from us. And then, of course, the growth is all coming largely from new customers. So the new customers are very much choosing to be partners with us. And we are not facing any resistance because of the PMC past with the new customers.
So you mentioned that the bank is in the operating profit mode. So will you be infusing capital further, if not perhaps to run the operations, maybe for the growth of the company or something like that, raising capital? How is that proportion?
We are definitely going to be raising capital almost perennially, as you know, a bank has to. But right now we have a capital reserve adequacy of 46 or 47%. So we are well over capitalized right now. The regulatory requirement is 15% or so. So we don't have any immediate need, but we have the preparedness for more capital as and when required, both on our side and the partners are committed as well.
Right. One more part specifically on the background. How long did it take for you to, come out of that shadow? How did you actually handle the whole case of PMC and tell the whole world now we are a different entity and, acquire new customers? How did you actually manage the whole situation?
Well, I think, we haven't really fully launched the bank in a public way yet. So a lot of it is by word of mouth, by the people on the ground, our frontline staff who have been doing this for us. But over time, we'll get more visible through the media and through public appearances. We are also opening more branches, so that will give us another opportunity to touch new points. These are branches which are new to PMC, which were not there in the PMC fold. So I think those will change but I think the true test is in the real business we're getting. We're getting a lot of business from first-time customers, and they are obviously not carrying that baggage.
So let me first, shift your focus specifically towards the outlook now or the future. There are a couple of SFBs already operating in this country. Okay, there are a lot of
12 more.
banks. Yes, there are already a lot of fintechs offering a different proportion, which is like a neobank or a digital bank, and they're partnering with the bank. So what I'm trying to learn from you is the competition is very high now, specifically in the digital banking space. You are one of them. How will you deal with it?
Yeah, I don't see, first of all, any competition between fintechs and SFBs. The fintechs, I have to say, have reshaped the financial services industry. What fintechs have done is they have made reach possible, which wasn't possible earlier unless it was a prohibitive cost. They have made dealing in small ticket sizes cost positive, which was not possible earlier. They have created speed, reliability, which wasn't possible at a transaction level. So I think there is a lot of room for partnership. And I think you'll see more of that, not just with SFBs, but also with banks, fully commercial banks. That there will be a lot of partnerships with fintechs. And I think there is room for both to coexist and capture. We are the most under-penetrated market in financial services in the world, I think, of our size. So clearly there's room for all to grow. I don't think the competition is the problem. I think execution is the real challenge. Some will obviously execute better than others. Some already have a scale advantage. Some will have other capital advantage. So we'll have to play to our strengths. But it's about execution rather than about competition.
Right. Sure. So what will be the role of BharatPe? What will be the role of BharatPe going ahead, being a fintech company, operating largely into the payment space? How do you see BharatPe actually contributing its talent, its expertise into Unity Small Finance Bank?
So BharatPe is a financial partner. So they're equity holders of 49%. So they've already contributed by capital. They put in 800 crores or so into the company. Their advice and guidance to us on the technology platform, on the technology development, on helping us with vendor selection, etc., has been extremely helpful. So they will continue to do that. And the third way they're going to contribute is a lot of their business will be run on the Unity Bank platform. We are in fact likely to do some business joint with joint co-sponsored as well. So I think with capital, with technical expertise and with business flow, I think we'll get those three benefits from BharatPe.
Okay, noted your points. How do you see an opportunity of a cooperative banks for a fintechs or a financial services groups like you? Because there are a lot of finance groups who wants to become a bank, but obviously there are a lot of regulations because of which they cannot even apply. And there are a lot of fintechs who wants to become a bank. But on the other side, there are a lot of cooperative banks failing miserably. Every month, there is one bank which is either being charged by RBI or asked by RBI to wind up their operations. So how do you see this opportunity specifically for a financial groups like you, which there are many in the industry, and specifically for fintechs?
So I think the cooperative banks have had a legacy challenge.
Yes.
And again, there are, we can't paint them with the same brush.
Yes.
There are some cooperative banks like Saraswat, etc., which are as good as any financial service player. And then there are others who have failed the test on many counts. So I think there will be consolidation there. I think some will liquidate because they are not meeting the test of the regulator. Some will combine and there will be room for other financial service players to make some acquisitions, etc. So I think there will be a phase of one is improving corporate governance on the one side of the play, and on the other side there will be consolidation. So I think some combination. So we'll probably have fewer cooperative banks, but better managed, better run, with better capital structures, etc. over time. But yeah, it's a process. It's going to take some time to happen.
Yeah, but do you see it's a great proportion? Do you see it's an opportunity for fintechs?
I think fintechs have the largest opportunity, to be honest.
Yes.
Because they can work with banks, commercial banks, they can work with SFBs, they can work with NBFCs, they can work with cooperative banks, they can work without any regulated entity and do a few things as well. So I think it's the others who need the fintechs. I don't think the fintechs are the ones who need everyone else. But like I said, they have to carve out their niche, they have to build scale, and that takes time. There was a time when equity was far readily available to these fintechs. Today, that might not be available as freely and as uniformly to everyone. Maybe it's a more selective process now. But yeah, I think fintechs are here to stay, grow, prosper, and it's an opportunity for, I think, people who are regulated, like we are in a bank, have to look at fintechs as an opportunity and not as a competition or as somebody who's stealing our business.
Sure. So let me shoot one more question there, sir. So how do you see the future of fintechs now specifically? Because, the tap which was flowing with the full force, the funding tap I'm talking about, is not the same today.
Correct.
That is one side. The second side is regulators are far more active than they were. Okay. And third is, the partnerships which they're supposed to have with financial institutions or banks are also quite wise, because the basic level of partnerships have already happened. Every bank will have at least 4 to 5 fintech partnerships or collaborations. So you really have to have something unique or unusual to offer. Amidst this, how do you see the future of fintechs?
So I feel that, the fintechs today, there is a clear differentiation. So the fintechs that are still attracting equity interest, and there are many of them, you can distinguish them as the ones who are clearly better than the others. Earlier, everybody was getting it. So everybody was being painted by the same brush. So I think now that is one. The second thing is, I think the fintechs have also now realized that profitability is an important objective to have. And it's not just about scale and AUM, which I think had been the case for a while, where scale overpowered making money, So I think that has changed. I think that can only be for the better. That's a good change. We are going to see the the better ones and not the so much better ones in terms of funding. But we are also going to see everyone more aligned to reaching profitability rather than just scale. So it will have to be profitability together with scale, not just one over the other. And I think going forward, I would be surprised if any bank of size will have less than 30-40 partnerships with 30-40 different fintechs. Okay. This is not going to be a game of 3 or 4. Because fintechs will be very niche players, and over time they will all develop their niche.
Right.
And I think people will want different fintech partners for different. So they'll want a different one for credit card. They'll want a different one for insurance. They'll want a different one for loans to the small businesses, loans to the big businesses, different one for mortgage, different one for in terms of financing education. So I think there will be numerous eventually the banking industry is going to get digitized.
Yes.
Partly by their own platforms, but largely, I think, not even partly, by partnership with fintechs.
Right.
That's how it's going to shape. And eventually everyone will be one day largely a digital player in this business. That's how the business is going to get conducted. So I think the fintechs, I don't think so, have a challenge of scarcity. And I think there will be plentiful people. But again, like with every industry, that happens that in every niche, be it credit cards, be it home loans, be it educational loans, etc., leaders will emerge among the fintechs in each niche. And that, of course, then that will be a challenge. And there'll be a process of consolidation within that.
I'm sure.
The big fish will eat the small fish. And, as it happens with every business.
I think that's a great outlook to see that every bank will have 30-40 fintech partnerships. And that
has to.
That looks quite possible also, looking at the innovation that is happening.
Correct.
So one more question, Bindra sir, and specifically on the outlook. Where do you see Unity Small Finance Bank maybe in next 2 to 3 years? What are the changes that you see specifically on the business front, specifically on the expansion fronts? And more importantly, will you also try and plan to hit the capital market? Are you also thinking about IPO or something like that?
So the IPO is actually an easy one to answer because it's regulatory driven.
Yes.
We have to do an IPO at a certain stage. Yes. So whenever that time comes, we'll have to do it.
Absolutely.
It's unlikely we'll do it much earlier. We'll do it closer to the time that it is due. Because we're a new bank, we need some time to grow and create value. In terms of products, we'll probably have larger number of products. Today we are doing 3-4 things. We'll probably be doing 7-8 things on the asset side, on the loan side. I think we'll have a little more physical presence than we have today. I think we're close to 150 outlets today. In terms of branches, we'll probably maybe in 2-3 years be close to double that.
Right.
But then our scope for physical brick and mortar is finite. Eventually we want to have the reach through the app. And the app will be the big play for us.
Right.
And that we hope we will launch later this year sometime. And we'll keep improvising on it as we go along. So I think those will be the major changes in terms of the outlook for Unity.
Sure. I think that's it from my end. I will stop there. But thank you so much for stopping by and sharing all this information. It was great chatting with you.
Thank you.
Thank you.